What's up, guys? It's me again, Christian Rodriguez, and today I wanted to talk about my experience in sales and what I learned from it, but also why I think you should work sales. Why I think every man should work some form of a sales job at some point in their life. And the thing about sales is, it's not the most. It's not. It's a very difficult job to do. I would say it's one of the hardest industries, one of the hardest jobs, one of the hardest positions is to be a salesperson. And sales gets a lot of flack. It gets a lot of flack because it literally is commission. Mostly it's usually commission only. Or there's like a little base salary, but you're mostly like have to raise up commissions, right? So it's based on performance. And most people don't like that. Most people would rather have a salary. Like, okay, I'm guaranteed $50,000 a year if I sit at a desk. And there's nothing wrong with that, but with sales, your earnings aren't capped. Your earnings are the result of your skill, right? The better you are, the more money you make, or the harder you work, the more money you make, right? And that's the thing. I work sales. I didn't. I'm gonna be honest. I hated it. I fucking hated it. But after I attempted my first business, right? I remember attempting my first business. I had a mentor, and a mentor told me, work a sales job. And I remember hearing it from like my family, that, or even other people, right? Saying I would never work a sales job. Don't work sales. That's not a good job. But my mentor told me to do it, right? Because he knew that I was working for entrepreneurship. That's what I wanted to do, and I ended up working sales. I ended up working it was a B2C sales job. I was stopping people on the street in New York City and getting them to donate to charities, right? And I'm gonna tell you, that was the hardest. That was so hard. I was miserable. I was waking up early in the morning. I was taking the train into the city from the suburbs, from Westchester, if you guys know. Um, but yeah, I was pitching people all day from like 10 a.m. from like 9 a.m. to like 5 6 p.m. every single day. Won't be back home until 8, because after that I'll also review on what I have to work on. So by the time everything's done and then I take the train back, I would be getting back home by like 8, 8:30, sometimes 9. And that's just how it was, and it sucked. And I even had to travel for it. Um, I traveled to different states around the U.S. for the sales job, and I hated it. I'm gonna be honest, I hated it. I was miserable. But the one thing it got me better at just dealing with social discomfort. First of all, I realized that it made me just better. It just made me better, a better communicator with people, and it increased my interpersonal skills. It also it also taught me how it taught me more about human nature, right? It taught me, that's what got me interested in the topic, right? Like keeping your composure, right? Like if the person lashes out and they're mad about something, it's usually not because of you. It's about them. And I learned not to take things like that personally, right? And even in my personal life, during confrontations, I was able to deal with confrontations better because I dealt with the pressure of sales. And sales almost like is training for that. So I highly recommend it. I highly recommend that every man does some sort of sales job, right? It's it's not fun. It's not. It's not fun. I did it for 9 months. I'll do it again if I have to, but it's not the most fun thing on the planet. I'm not gonna tell you it is. But the skills that it gives you, those people skills that it gives you, those it trains you under pressure. And you know how I always talk about controlling your emotions? That's one way of training yourself to control your emotions. It's not fun, but it will definitely make you better at it. And plus, you get good at sales, you are irreplaceable. There is no company that's not gonna say, "Oh, I don't want this guy because he's too good at sales, so I had to get rid of him." Like, no, no one ever says that. No company's ever saying, "Oh, what a, I have too many good salespeople. Like, I'm so tired of them." Like, no one's ever gonna say that. No one is ever gonna like. It's plus a really good salesman is so rare. It's rare because most people, it's a painful job, so most people aren't willing to go through that pain. But if you're that guy who's willing to go through that pain, you can make a ton of money through it. There's definitely other ways, but I know that's a very good way of doing it. The best part about sales is the low barrier of entry. So you don't even need a bullshit college degree. You really don't. You do not need a college degree. If you're young, I highly recommend it. To be honest, I think you'll learn more in sales in a year of sales than you would 4 years of college education, but that's a completely different subject. So I won't get into that. And I went to college, but that's how I strongly feel about it. But you need to I I have to thank sales for a lot of things that I've done. Plus, social discomfort, right? Social discomfort is amazing. It's people like avoid it like the plague because it's very uncomfortable. But when you could deal with social discomfort, it makes you attractive to people. It even makes you more attractive to women. Trust me, women notice that. When women test you, they're testing to see how confident you are. When you're doing sales, you're constantly being tested by all types of people. So by the time a woman tests you, it's just like, what are you doing? So if that's another reason why I think you should do sales, hey, that helps too. That's not the reason to do sales, but it's an indirect reason why. It's an indirect benefit of doing sales. But I'll leave it at that. I know it's a bit of a short video. Thank you guys so much, and subscribe. Take care.